So we will move on here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because I don't want to just rehash what we talked about already. But as we mentioned in the opening, we put out a TikTok about the Deshaun thing and about, how many games we think he's going to get and stuff. So many ignorant comments, guys. Just Google's your friend. So I just wanted to go through and address some of these things. So hopefully we aren't just constantly answering the same things in the comments over and over again. So let's jump into these real quick. Firstly, when we said that what are we suspending him for? It wasn't because we don't know about the allegations. It was based on the case the NFL presented to the judge in the hearing.
Right. We know what the allegations are. We detailed them all offseason so far. Ever since we traded for Deshaun, or even talked about trading for him, we were talking about what the accusations were.
Correct. So stop taking things out. You can stitch us as many times as you want.
And please keep doing it.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep doing it. But it was based on the case made by the NFL to the judge.
Which was very weak.
Yes. They know they lost, which is why they might be pushing for a year indefinite. Then why are they trying to settle? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If they think they won, why are they trying to settle? So speaking of the judge, this was another thing. Is that the NFL does not have final say if this judge rules 0 games. So many people in these comments saying, it doesn't matter, NFL is going to suspend him just for making him look bad. Guys, that's not the way it works. I don't know how many times we have to say this. If the judge says 0 games, it is case closed, done. There is nothing Roger Goodell can do. It's over. That's the way it was negotiated in the new collective bargaining agreement, because the players were tired of Goodell being judge, jury, and executioner. Mm-hmm. So please stop saying
But
that.
if she does rule a suspension,
both sides can appeal.
Okay.
The NFL can appeal and Deshaun Watson could appeal.
And then who makes that decision?
And then that is Goodell.
Okay.
So if the judge says 0, it's over. If she rules that he violated the policy and recommends a certain amount of games, the NFL can either roll with it or they can appeal. Then it becomes Goodell's decision, which to me is crazy. Or Deshaun Watson's team could appeal it, but they would be appealing to Goodell.
And one thing that we've talked about that I want to make sure we re-highlight here is this is the first case that is being done this way.
Yep.
So, there's such a spotlight on this and how they handle it and the precedent that they set moving forward. I mean, if they blow this way out of proportion and suspend him for a whole year over no evidence, that defeats the whole purpose of this thing.
Yeah, or if she says she comes in and says 6 games,
yes,
and Goodell says, well, thanks for your time, but we're going to go for a full year. Why did you even hire then?
Yeah, it was all just a show.
Yes. So I look for the NFL to stick with whatever she decides. And I think the Watson side would be insane to appeal if it's something like 6 games. If they're trying to get it lower, to me, the NFL is like, hey, we're not going to appeal. You guys don't appeal. Let's just end this thing. Lastly. So this is the big one. And it says Zeke and Ben got 6 games for way less accusations. First of all, I don't know enough about the Zeke thing, but Big Ben was accused of rape.
Twice.
I'm not saying sexual misconduct is okay. It's better than rape.
And we talked with a legal professional about the differences between sexual assault, sexual misconduct, rape.
Yes.
They are different things. I know we like to lump it all into rape or whatever, but it's not. I mean, legally, these are different allegations.
Yes, and that'd be like, punching somebody in the face is bad. Killing them is worse.
Correct. Yeah.
Difference
between assault and murder.
Yes. So stop calling him a rapist in the comments. It's completely false that he's never once been accused of, even in the cases, was never accused of force or anything like that. So please stop saying rapist.
You lose your argument as soon as you start.
Yep.
Accusing him of things that even these women aren't accusing him of. You have no argument.
Correct.
You're just showing that you don't know what you're talking about.
But I would agree with this one if this was 6-7 years ago. If Goodell was in charge of the whole thing, then I could say I would totally agree with you. But again, Goodell is not in charge of this. This is a whole new collective bargaining agreement. It goes with, a lot of people are saying, well, Trevor Bauer's got suspended for 2 years. They're not even in the same freaking league. That is apples to oranges.
Yeah.
Completely different commissioners, completely different collective bargaining agreements, different unions, different protocols. I mean, guys, that is the most ignorant argument I've ever heard in my life. So, yes, if this was 5 years ago, I understand your argument, but it's not. This isn't 5 years ago.
Right.
There's a completely different method about going into this and coming up with a suspension that wasn't done back then. And then my favorite one, lastly, I keep seeing this. Calvin Ridley got 1 year for gambling. So how is Deshaun only going to get 6 games or 4 games or no games for this? Well, 1, there's proof that Calvin really gambled.
Right. Yeah.
2, I guarantee you the NFL cares way more about that than they do about anything with Deshaun. Because gambling on games calls into the integrity of everything about the league.
I was just saying, notice how they didn't hesitate very long before they suspended Calvin Ridley?
And you never heard nobody appealed?
Nope.
No, nothing. Because it's there. You cannot do it. You can't bet. Because now what happens if Calvin Ridley comes out and has a weirdly awful game in a big game?
Correct.
Now people are going, well,
what was the money line?
Yeah. You know what I mean? It calls into question the integrity of everything. It goes like the Chicago Black Sox scandal in baseball. It's a huge stain on the sport.
Pete Rose. I know it's a different sport, but Pete Rose is not even. Will never get into the Hall of Fame, and his numbers are.
He's one of the greatest players of all time.
Yes.
You cannot gamble in the sport if you're in that sport. And there was actual proof that he did it. The NFL, like we said this a million times, the NFL doesn't care about Deshaun Watson. They care about the optics of Deshaun Watson. I mean, they let Hardy come back and play. They let Adrian Peterson come back and play after he beat up his kids. All this stuff. They could not care less about it. They only care about the optics of it. They care if you bet on the games. Because now all of a sudden they're answering about, are people throwing games? Are refs in on it? Are games rigged? Is this like the WWE? That's bad. That's bad for business. So
very bad.
That's a terrible comparison. It's terrible. In the NFL's eyes, gambling on the sport is a million times worse than anything Deshaun's being accused of.
And the first thing you said about this was really where the argument needs to stop. There was evidence.
Yeah.
There's no evidence against Deshaun Watson at all right now for any kind of suspension.
So those are some of the biggest comments I saw on this video. I tried to answer a lot of them, but man, some of you guys are just ignorant. So I just wanted to kind of do a blanket discussion on that, because please just Google something before you comment something dumb.
What's going on, Browns fans? The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. It's a lot of dough. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action on baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options never feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code TPPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Look forward to betting with you soon, and minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. God bless.